There are few planes as iconic as the F-14 Tomcat. An absolute powerhouse of the Cold War, with its wide wingspan, twin engines, and variable geometry wing sweep, it's difficult not to love the Tomcat. By the August of 1973, the Tomcat was becoming expensive and bearing down on the U.S. Navy's budget. U.S. Congress ordered that the Navy pursue a cheaper alternative like the Air Force had done years earlier with the YF-16. The companies Northrop Grumman and McDonnell Douglas both submitted ideas, a stripped-down F-14 and a naval F-15 respectively, but both were almost as expensive as the F-14 itself. The Navy was ordered by the Secretary of Defense to pick an aircraft from the lightweight fighter program, and thus the YF-17 had its moment in the sun. Years later, the Hornet has become one of the most iconic fighters of the fourth generation, proving itself in Iraq, Afghanistan, and with multiple air forces throughout the world. It flies with around 7 foreign operators and still serves in the United States Marine Corps to this very day. As well as this, the E&F Super Hornet built upon the legacy Hornet, providing more thrust, better combat capabilities, and a better radar. In DCS world, we have one variant of the F-18 Hornet, that being the A-18C Hornet. This was the penultimate variant of the Hornet, before the introduction of the Super Hornets. It is a single-seat, multi-role attack plane which hosts a variety of tactical features including a ground radar, highly accurate INS and GPS systems, as well as a helmet-mounted display, ECM suite, and much, much more. In this review, I'll be covering air-to-air potential, air-to-ground potential, weaponry, ease of use, and special to only few planes in the game, carrier operations. Introducing the F-18C Hornet. Hornet, in my opinion, looks great. A lot of people dislike the aesthetics of the Hornet, but I've personally loved it.
Its aesthetics are very rugged, and it looks like you've climbed into the cockpit of a plane that's been flown quite extensively. This enhances the feeling of immersion whilst flying. Judging from pictures online, the cockpit layout is very accurate to the real thing, as you'd expect. Most buttons work and can be switched, even though 90% of them you won't find a use for. The externals are also amazing, and very accurate to the real thing. Having seen Hornets in real life, both Canadian and American ones, it's amazing to see how well Eagle Dynamics has modeled the plane in DCS.
The startup of the Hornet is quite simple once you understand it. The speed at which you can get the plane into the air depends entirely on your mission type. For the majority of air-to-air and light air-to-ground missions, you can get the plane into the air in a few minutes with a bit of practice and trimming of the fat. But for longer, more extensive missions, there are many things that are mandatory, making it versatile for both those seeking an in-depth simulation and those who want to take off and go bomb things for an hour or two. The air-to-ground workflow is also quite simple. Many weapons, such as unguided bombs and rockets, can be set up however you like, and the options available are quite versatile. Like other modules in DCS, you can set all sorts of things, whether you want a salvo or volley of rockets, how far you want bombs to be dropped apart from each other, whether you want a delayed fuse or an instant fuse, etc. These options expand even more when you consider the ability to carry both the AT Fleer and Lightning II pod on the fuselage of the Hornet. This allows for the use of unguided bombs in CCRP mode, as well as guided bombs and rockets like the GBU-12. The selection of weapons at your disposal is quite varied as well, from standard 500-pound bombs to GPS-guided long-range weapons like the US Navy's Joint Standoff Weapon, the JSOW, allowing you to attack targets from ranges of up to 60 or 70 miles under ideal conditions. The Hornet allows you to carry out any mission you can think of in DCS, save for troops transport and helicopter missions. When it comes to beyond visual range air combat, the Hornet is super advanced and is able to dominate in any area it's placed in. You have a varied selection of both semi-active radar homing missiles as well as active radar homing missiles, both of which are very easy to use. Getting a radar lock is as simple as slewing your cursor over the target and pressing TDC to press. The Hornet has access to two modes, range while search and track while scan. You may be familiar with range while search coming from other, more arcadey flight sims like War Thunder. This is a standard radar mode allowing for the observation of multiple targets, called track files, simultaneously. These little green squares show any radar contact. Hovering over them with your TDC will allow you to select a specific track file and lock it. After a few seconds, if you have your IFF system enabled, the target will change to either green, indicating a friendly, or red, indicating a hostile. You will also see this updated on the heads-up display. TWS, or Track While Scan, is a bit more complex. This allows for the simultaneous tracking and locking on of multiple targets at once, allowing you to fire your long-range AIM-120 missile at up to 8 targets simultaneously. This makes air-to-air combat even more simple. In Track While Scan, contacts are automatically displayed as HAFU symbols, indicated in a ranking from 1 to 8. The primary target, that being the one you are going to be shooting at, is indicated with a star. You can change that target by slewing your TDC over a different target and selecting it with TDC to press. You will also have a secondary target marked with an unfilled diamond. You can swap between these targets by pressing the Undesignate button. The second target will be shown as an X, with the main target as a little box on your HUD. You can transition to an STT lock by pressing TDC to press a second time when the TDC is over the primary target. This will allow you to interrogate the target. Once you have the target marked as hostile, you can designate the target by pressing Undesignate on your joystick, and this will allow you to fire an AMRAAM without the enemy knowing you're locking onto them, at least until the missile goes active, or pitbull. If you manage to reach the merge, the Hornet does not let down either. It was designed to allow for high angles of attack, meaning you can make quick snapshots on an enemy with your guns. As well as that, the Hornet has access to the AIM-9X high-off bore sight missile. Something to note is that many Hornet pilots will cut into the merge and bleed all their energy. This is not a good strategy and should be avoided. While the Hornet is very good at stall fighting, the Hornet is poor when it comes to regaining that speed, with a very low thrust-to-weight ratio. This means the Hornet pilot needs to watch his or her speed a bit more than aircraft like the F-16 or F-15 might. That isn't to say that the Hornet is a bad dogfighter though.
At higher speeds, specifically in a rate fight, you can surprise enemy pilots with your high angles of attack. As well as this, while being rated for only 7 Gs, the plane can reach up to 9 Gs at very low speeds with the use of the FCS switch. Though this is generally only advised to be used in emergencies, as it can cause your plane to bleed all of its energy very quickly. Overall, the Hornet has great air-to-air performance both before and during the merge. Like many planes, the Hornet sits in a state of limbo. Being in early access, there are a few minor bugs, but nothing too major from what I've noticed. Most of the time you can take off and complete your mission without the complications of a broken binding, a random engine failure, etc. The Hornet does lack many of the features it had in real life, too many to get into in fact. Some may argue that this is better for new players, but I won't get into that debate right now. Overall, the Hornet is in a fairly good state and will provide a new user with a swath of new content to experience. The Hornet is quite complex on the surface. Being designed in a transitional period, it retains a lot of the ruggedness from the late 80s, but it also has many quality of life features I find myself missing on other naval planes like the F-14 and Harrier. One of them being the 3 displays, allowing for both air-to-ground, air-to-air, and navigation data all at the same time. The helmet-mounted display is also very simple to use, and the HUD will be familiar to players of even the most arcade-level flight sims, like Ace Combat or Project Wingman. Once you get past the initially daunting startup process and general cockpit workflow, the plane becomes one of the easiest to fly, and is one of the reasons I keep coming back to it, even after owning a majority of the modules in DCS. Don't get me wrong, it is still a full fidelity aircraft, and you will spend many hours on the ground figuring out how to even get the plane on, but once you do, everything else will come to you very quickly. All in all, do I recommend the F-18C Hornet? Yes, I do. It is one of the best aircraft to get started in if you don't know what plane to hop into. It is able to carry a massive payload, allowing for a large variety of combat missions. As well as that, being a multi-role aircraft gives it a leg up against all its competition. This is one of the best planes for getting into DCS in my personal opinion. Even if you're a veteran of the sim, I'd still give this a solid recommendation if you're looking to try out more modern BVR era planes. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. I'm sorry about the audio quality at the end and the audio quality here, as my throat hurts quite a bit right now, but I had a quick bit of motivation and just felt like I had to get this done, so yeah. If you like this kind of content, please like it because it helps me in the algorithm and encourages me to make more. I've never really done this kind of video before, so I hope you like it. Don't really know what module I'm gonna do next, but I do want to make this a series because the only other channel that really does module reviews, as far as I can tell, is like Grim Reapers, I think, so there's like not much in terms of variety, so yeah, if you like this, then yeah, leave a like, subscribe. If you don't like it, then I don't know, dislike it. I'll see it, other people won't. Who cares?